Hello, hi, and Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to my class. I'm sure you are fine and doing great with your studies. Today, I have brought for you one very interesting topic, the process of writing. I'm caging the monster today. I know for many writers, this writing thing is quite intimidating, harrowing, and even, mysterious or frustrating. Why is that? Reasons may be many, because writers, they have to keep many things, I would say 1,001 things, in mind at the same time, simultaneously. For example, writers have to think about the topic, they want to write about, the subject, that topic, lies in, the purpose of their writing, the readers also, and of course, they have to collect many ideas, they could really go about conveniently. Besides this, there are many technical areas, which writers, they really ponder and consider also. For example, vocabulary, what words they are going to use, their language choices. Are they going to use easy words, difficult words, idioms, phrasals? And they have to keep in mind the organization, of their writing also, the sequence, the progression, and then signaling words, and of course paragraphing also, the size of paragraphs, the central ideas, in the paragraphs, and then mechanics as well. They have to be very careful about their writing, the spelling, punctuation, etc. And then, of course, they'll be, worried about, grammar thing, the verb choices, the agreements, the right use of pronouns and the references, articles, for example, etc. And then, going down to the structure part of their writing, the types of sentences, the structure patterns, for example. They have to, keep in mind how to bring, variety in the, writing, so that, they could really grab readers' attention. And, of course, the content thing, they also have to be very careful about. For example, relevance, in the content, originality in the content, logic inside the content, the overall, fabric of argumentation, they have to keep in mind. And, last but not least, plagiarism. Something, a sword, lurking on their heads that, use your own ideas, use your own expression. Don't own someone's, expression or ideas without naming them, without acknowledging them, So all these things actually make this act harrowing, make this act, quite scary. But if we, as I said, at the start, today, we'll try to cage this monstrous, act. How? Very simple. Breaking it, into smaller pieces, into smaller steps, which should be manageable, approachable, and Stephen R. Covey's, idea that you would be able to begin with the end in mind. Of course, when you haphazardly start things, your beginning, your ending, of course, nothing is clear unto you. But when you, shift, or you can say apply a model, for example, which we call as the process model of writing, what, it helps you. It can, help you see the whole thing, in just one glance, where I'm starting and where I'm reaching. Look here. As far as, the process of writing is concerned, besides this all, beginning with the end in mind, it, helps you three ways following a writing process. For example, it can help readers organize their ideas, number one. Number two, it can help them avoid any frustration, and any block, which sometimes, writers end up with. And lastly, it can help them, use their time more efficiently and more productively. Now, this process of writing, or take it this way, the process model of writing is not an absolute thing. I mean, when I say absolute thing, it means that we do not have one single process, which I could talk about today and advise you, well, ABC is a process, you can use it and you can apply onto your, writing act, and, this is how you can produce things. No, not exactly. I mean, I would rather say that there are as many processes as many are writers. My process of writing can be different from your process of writing. Process of writing can be different from her process of writing. Of course, we follow those processes, which are more convenient, for us. My definition of convenience, your definition of convenience, of course, can be different. Exactly the same way, my process selection and your process selection can be different, of course. But the end point has to be there that you are able, after following some process, whatever it is, A, B, C, or X, Y, Z, at the end of following that process, you should be able to, have such a piece, which is meant for some topic, meant for some purpose, meant for some, your readers. And of course, that piece serves the whole purpose. Different people, then, they have talked about processes differently. And before I, get you down to my, process of writing, I would like to discuss with you 2 or 3 processes, which people had been following. For example, some say that writing process is a 3-step process. For example, they say writing is what? Inputting, and then processing, and then outputting. Now, inputting means what? Inputting actually is a collection stage in which, they observe their, environment, they observe their surroundings, they observe their target, for example, and they listen. I mean, they talk to people, see, and the targets, they have a conversation, they have a dialogue, they have a discussion with them, and this is how they collect data. So they collect data from observation, they collect data from listening, and of course reading. Lots and lots and lots of reading, Reading, you can go to library, you can have the books lying inside your room, you can go through them. So this is how inputting means collection process. Collecting, data from observation, from listening, from reading. And second step or stage in this process is processing. Now, processing means what? Whatever they have collected, in inputting, now they're going to analyze it. Why we analyze? Of course, there is one topic in our mind, there is one purpose in our mind, and there is one specific reader in our mind, and of course, there is one point of view in our mind. In other words, there is one, circle in our mind, and what we do actually in processing, we let all bits and pieces of information, pass through that circle, so that, there could be some, what we call that, alignment. I mean, all these elements, your topic, your purpose, your reader, your information, they could be aligned together. So in processing, they analyze information. Relevant things they keep. Irrelevant things, they kick out. And after analyzing, what they do is actually synthesize. Now, they put their ideas into some good words. Words which are easily understandable by their readers. Of course, in our last classes, we talked about readability and listenability. So keeping readability of the readers in mind, of course, they choose words to dress up their ideas. So this is processing stage. Inputting stage, they collect information through observation, through reading, through listening. Then, processing stage. In processing stage, they do 2 things. What they do, they analyze their data. Keeping the relevance in mind, they analyze the data. And number 2, they synthesize the data. They put that information into words. And of course, they organize in logical sequence and progression, they let their information hang actually, starting and then of course ending. The third stage is outputting. Of course, outputting means, now they decide about what, channel they should use, to express, for example, they should use, let's say, this electronic, medium, they should use this print medium, So this is how they output information. Or you can say they send whatever they've written, for publishing. So this is one process which, of course, we can follow. Inputting, processing, and outputting. Good one. I'm not saying that, there's anything wrong in it. Okay. Some people say, well, writing process shouldn't consist of three very generalized, stages or steps. Rather, they say that this writing process is a name of four things, or you can say 4 steps or 4 stages. What they say, number 1, planning. Number 2, let's say organizing. Number 3, activating. And number 4, controlling. Now, this is another, what you call process of writing. And some people call it, communication by objective also. Of course, writing is one way of communicating also. So that is CBO as well. Starting from planning. What is planning? Of course, planning means, you plan out what you want to write about, actually. You plan, of course, the purpose of your writing. You plan, of course, who are your readers, actually. And then, you try to find out the focus. I mean, are these 3 points aligned together or not? And then comes what? Organization. Organization means, see, you have decided, you have finalized your topic, the purpose, and of course the readers. Now, what comes next? Organization means you ask yourself to write about so-and-so topic or to fulfill so-and-so purpose. What type of information you will be needing, and what are those information sources, for example? I mean, comes question in your mind that what procedures I should follow. I mean, should I sit down in my, drawing room by a fireplace, over a cup of coffee and home-cooked cookies and a pen and paper and just, keep, jotting down, and scribbling my ideas, and they should be, sufficient enough to be shared with your reader, or something else. So, in organization, you decide about the procedures of your writing. Means you'll be getting information, let's say, from some libraries. So that is what organization means. Organization means you organize sources of information. Which libraries you'll visit, which, let's say, other sources, for example, let's say newspaper or encyclopedia or electronic media or internet, you will be like, searching for information collection, or you organize people. For example, if you don't go for these library stuff sources, of course, you can seek the help of different, people. You can interview them, right? And different equipment, you're going to use, for example. Will you be using just pen and paper? Or you'll be needing, kind of computer thing. So all these equipment, if you want to like collect information, by recording people, for example, then you'll be, of course, needing some, electronic gadgets also. So all these things you organize. Now, 4-step process. Number 1, you plan. You plan, of course, topic, purpose, reader. Number 2, organization. Means you organize information sources. Number 3, that is activation or activating. What is this activation or activating? This is a goodwill point, actually. Goodwill point means writing for your readers, not for yourself. If I'm a writer, I shouldn't write for myself only. Of course, when I'm writing, it's kind of my own expression, actually. I'm like, sort of on the side of like, dominating things. But still, I have a product, which I'm designing or crafting or creating or inventing, and that product has to be used by somebody else. Of course, not by me. Yes, of course, I'll be, reading myself also, but someone's going to use that product. So activation is a stage in which you analyze your writing as a product, for example, that this product is going to be used by somebody, and that somebody is, of course, your reader, right? So, like, generally speaking, activation means, writer's efficiency, writer's cooperation, for example, writer's consideration, for example, writer's truthfulness, for example, his trustworthiness, for example. So all such good elements, and of course, these things. I mean, just take it this way. You write something, you send it to me, and it's full of errors, for example. Some facts, they need revising, for example. Some, lexical choices, perhaps lack precision, for example. Some structures, for example, they are not, appropriate. Some grammatical stuff like, has got some errors which was wanting, your attention, but you perhaps overlooked and, let your let your writing, go to the bed. So activation is something in which you revise for quality, in which, you rewrite your stuff so that that product which you're creating should be in best possible form, so that, your readers could have their trust. And if they already have your trust, that trust could be strengthened. So this is how the third stage in this process is. And the last one is controlling. Now, tell me something. If your writing is perfuming, for example, it's music reading you, it's rhythmic, for example, don't you think you'll be able to control your reader? Controlling reader means if you wanted to persuade him, for example, or you wanted to change his behavior, for example. So if he's persuaded, his behavior is changed, for example, don't you think you have control? Of course, yes. I mean, take the example of newspapers. Feature writers are there, articles are there. They all have their circles, actually. Circle of influence. There is ABC columnist, for example. I'm his fan, you are his fan, we all are his fan. So that's his circle of influence. That circle of influence actually is what? In other words, he has controlled these many people. How he has controlled these many people? Of course, by his efforts. Let me tell you, hard work, efforts has no substitute. It has no substitute. So he has influenced, his influence is based on what? His hard work. Day and night which he has spent. His efforts which, he has put in. So this is how he has controlled the behavior of his people. He has created a circle, actually, in, the society. So there are people who only read him. Whatever he says, blindly follow. And it needs, of course, from the writer's point of view, three very important skills. His consistency, quality terms, consistency, his persistency, and of course, insistency also. So all the three, traits, three qualities, writers, they keep on beefing up, their influence onto, of course, the people. So this is our second, process of, writing. The first one, inputting, processing, outputting. And the second process, planning, organizing, activating, and controlling. These two. Still, some people say that writing process, again, is a three-step, phenomena in which pre-writing, writing, and rewriting. Pre-writing means, everything you do before you sit down finally to let your pen or let your fingers move on, to the keyboards, or your pen moves on to, move on to the paper. Whatever you do before that, you decide about, the topic, the purpose, the reader, you collect information, every titly, bitly thing you do before, the final writing stuff, I mean to say drafting, that is pre-writing. Writing is what? Fine. Now you, finally go about your writing and then rewriting, as, people say. Good writers are those who are rewriters, and then rewriters and rewriters. The quality factor in mind, if quality factor forces you to rewrite more than 2 or 3 times, you have to. You have no choice. Because the product has to be, which could, reach your readers, and your readers, could again say, wow. Once again, something wonderful. So this is, the third process of writing. Keeping these 3 processes in mind, I'll not follow the first process, nor the second one, nor the third one. I'll give you a process in which there are 6 steps, not 3, not 4, not 3, 6 steps. Why, I'm choosing this process? Why not, one of the three? Reason behind that, I'll again use the same 2-3 words, that choose a process which is approachable, manageable, practical, and in a broad perspective, feasible also, and where things should be, not just, to say, idealistic, rather very, very realistic. For example, if I name those 6 steps, you would definitely say, oh, wow, this is more than a process, actually. For example, invention. Number 2, collection. And number 3, organization. So first step in my process is invention, and second step is collection, and third step is organization. Now, after these 3 comes drafting. First one is inventing, number 2 is collecting, number 3 is organizing, number 4 is drafting, and next is what? Revising, and the final is proofreading. So these are 6 steps. When I say invention means, 3 things. Now, we'll be speaking very clear about follow a process, which is 6 step, starting from inventing, collecting, organizing, drafting, revising, and proofreading. Now we are going to talk about what is inventing. You invent 3 things. Number 1, set a purpose of your writing, the reason behind your writing, the logic behind your writing. What's there in your mind which you want to write for your readers? The purpose. Number 2, identify your readers. Who you want to write for? You want to write for children? You want to write for adults? Who you want to write for? You want to write for technical guys? You want to write for non-technical guys? You want to write for highly educated people, semi-educated people? So ask yourself, these questions. And number 3, and very important, and what is that? Find out the topic of your writing. The topic of your writing, which is very, very important. What are good topics? Look, you should be very, very, very clear today that there's a huge difference. Rather, I would say these 2 are opposite things. I have already probably quoted this example in some previous lecture, but today I would like to explain it further, that subject and topic are 2 different things. Or you can say area of investigation and the question in that area of investigation are 2 different things. When we say media, take this example. Now, media is something, I don't think, if I ask you that, come on, write me, 500 word or 1,000 words, on media, it's approachable or manageable. It has so many faces. You may ask me this question, which media you're talking about? Are you talking about electronic or print? So, of course, there's a question. So, area or subject is a different thing, but topic is a different thing. And if I say society, for example, write on society, again the question will be, excuse me, what society you're talking about? Are you talking about rural, urban, inside urban, privileged, less privileged, the, educated people inside the society, uneducated people inside the society, the volunteers inside the society, people who are working for community, for example. So, these many questions are there. If I say the influence of media, again the question will be, should I go for the positive or the negative? Or should I simply ask myself, is there any influence of media? So, please keep in mind, if you say education, if you say, journalism, if you say psychology, for example, this can be an area. This is a subject, actually. It's not a topic. Topic is the one which is practical, approachable, and manageable. These are the 3 characteristics of a good topic. And I remember my teacher used to say that, and of course, this stuff is available, like, as a piece of advice in books as well, that when you approach your topic, make sure that you divide all the keywords of your topic by 3. I mean, when I say, let's say the topic is influence of media on society, this is something, you want to write on. So, apply the formula. Divide the keywords of your topic by 3. Now, for example, one keyword is influence, second keyword is media, third keyword is society. Now, divide this influence, by 3. You want to talk about positive influence or negative influence, or simply you want to ask, is there any influence? So divide your topic by 3. You want to talk about, let's say, negative effects of, this media thing. Now let's come down to the second keyword, which is media itself. Again, the same question. Print media, electronic. Let's say you choose electronic. Now my question is local or international? Of course, media is a whole world out there. Like, how come, you could be able to limit or write about the media all across the world? Of course, it's not approachable, manageable. It's not practical. So ask yourself, local or international? Let's say you go for, international. Okay. Now ask yourself, there can be 100 many questions actually, but ask yourself the time factor, for example. I mean, morning transmission, evening transmission, or late evening transmission, or what? Or prime time transmission. Let's say the prime time transmission. Now comes the society. Now, which society you're talking about? Rural or urban? Let's say you choose for urban, for example. Now, inside urban, you have privileged or less privileged. Let's say you choose privileged. Inside privileged, you have males and females. Inside males and females, let's say you go for, females. Inside females, you have age factor. You have, let's say teenagers, you have adults, for example. You have not school going, you have school going, for example. Let's say you go for school going. It means, that there will be like, teenagers. Now again, go for boys or girls. There are 100 many questions. 100 many questions, and answer to each and every question, or answering each and every question actually is moving towards, making your topic practical, approachable, and manageable. Now, final product of your topic will be, previously it was influence of media on society. Now, look at this. The topic is what? Let's say the negative influence of the international electronic media, rather, the, international electronic media prime time transmission on, let's say, the school-going teenagers of the, privileged part of so-and-so society. Look at this. I mean, now, people say process is a focus also, finding out your focus of writing. So don't you think your job is now extremely focused? Previously, it was what? Sort of horizontal expansion. Going from, I mean, just moving widely onto the surface. After asking these many questions and limiting your topic, narrowing it down to this much, actually made it what? A vertical flow. I mean, just, they say like, inch a hole, miles dug down. Inch a hole, miles dug down. You're not digging this way. You are miles down. Your focus will be very much there. And the purpose which you want to serve. Look, when I say that writing should have a focus, writer should have a focus, what actually I mean? I mean that readers, they should be able to understand that my writer will not be talking about A or B or C or D. He'll be talking about M, N, O only. I mean, this is what actually focus is. Otherwise, what? Their like expectation, level of expectation is going to be very, very high if your topic is broad in nature, is general in nature. Your job actually will be rather, of course, quite big. You won't be able, in limited amount of time, in limited length of your writing, encompass or, manage all possible pieces of information for your readers. So try to narrow down, your topic to make it practical, approachable, and manageable. Now, the first step of our writing process is what? Invention. And what we studied in invention, 3 things you invent. You find out on which topic you want to write, and you narrow it down. How do we narrow it down? You underline the keywords and you divide your keywords by 3. Number 1. Number 2, the purpose of your writing. The purpose is cause and effect. The purpose is, you want to examine or you want to analyze. The purpose is that you want to educate your people, you want to entertain them, you want to persuade them, you want to explain things, illustrate things, All many of these are purposes of your writing. And of course, we are going to study this purpose stuff in detail in my, somewhere in the process of writing. And third thing is your reader. In my previous classes, I talked about the types of readers. That's very general, actually, classification of your readers, that some are skeptics and others are skimmer. So a good writing is the one which serves the needs or fulfills the needs of the both. So this is what your invention is. Next comes collection. Now, collection means, as the word suggests, you collect information. In this stage, after finalizing your topic, your reader, and your purpose, next comes, okay, where from I can find information for my, writing. It's a very, very big question. Very big question. And it really troubles a lot at times. That find your topic, you're very clear about your topic, you're very clear about, your purpose and your readers, but where from I can, bring this information. This is collection stage. Now, there are 2 major sources of information for writers. The first source we call internal information source, and second one is external information source. What is internal information source? For your surprise, internal information source is you yourself as a writer. That is internal information source. Look, you have spent quite many years of your life with your eyes open. Analyzing things, observing things, experimenting things, experiencing things. And Allah has, gifted you with 5 senses, wonderful channels from where information has penetrated day and night into you. So in your past 15, 16 years, you have collected enough data and stored in your mind that will be enough to write, 9, 10 books, frankly speaking. So it's you actually which is the biggest source of information, I believe. But the question is only one, that do we trust that information? Have we trusted that information? Problem is, we do not actually trust usually. You as a writer, have never trusted your own source of information. You never asked yourself this question, do I have enough stock? If yes, how to bring this one out? So today I'll give you a method to bring this stock of information out from your mind and, transfer it onto a piece of paper or onto your computer screen. Well, there are three, methods to bring the stock which is stored in you out on a piece of paper. Don't take it, as if I'm kidding. No, I'm very, very, very serious about. Let's, discuss those three methods with the help of which you can bring this information out from your mind. Number one is free writing. And number two is probing. And number three is brainstorming. Now, what is free writing? This is something very interesting. And probably you never tried it before. I'll tell you today how to free write. Some people say free writing means, take a pen and paper and, start writing. And people say very experienced and, highly successful writers, they always free write. Well, I don't believe. Free writing actually means jotting down or scribbling, your points on a piece of paper, which we also call as writing without considering any rules. Writing without rules. When you are free writing, it means you are not going to, give any, attention to the spelling mistakes, you are making, the grammatical mistakes you are making, the sentence structures, they are right or wrong. Your information is, factual or fictional, the punctuation thing, and the format thing, the paragraphing thing, nothing and nothing and nothing you give any consideration to. What you do is actually, with free writing, you bring that very thought in your mind which forced you to write something. Let that come out from your mind. Don't worry about language. Don't worry about language. And let me tell you one thing. Don't worry about English, Urdu, Punjabi. Don't worry about. Free writing actually means bringing that thought in mind which actually forced you write something for your readers. You can bring that and you can, that idea you can lay down in Punjabi, in Urdu or in English, doesn't matter. Language is no question actually. And the quality of language is no question, The correctness is no question in free writing. How to do it now? I would say 3-4 times practice in a week and take my words, you will be a good writer. Or at least you'll be on a way to be a good writer. What is that? Set your clock to 5 minutes. Have a paper and pencil in your hand. Okay? Sit down in some comfortable chair and set your clock to 5 minutes and then start writing. Don't stop. Start writing. Whatever comes to your mind, start writing. Don't stop. Don't stop. Don't stop. Even if nothing comes to your mind, don't stop. Keep repeating the previous word. If you're stuck, keep repeating the previous word. If there is no word, just keep writing, I'm stuck, I'm stuck, I'm stuck, I'm stuck, till the time, you get another idea. You are not going to stop for 5 minutes till the clock beeps, time is up. There you surrender. Fine, this is what, you have produced. Please keep in mind, in free writing, we don't care nothing about the language correctness. We don't care nothing about are we writing sane or insane. Doesn't matter. What you need to do is keep writing. This is sort of a practice, which I'm telling you. Do it 2-3 times a week. You'll have a kick start. This free writing kicks you start. Okay. Maybe when you start reading what you have written, maybe you would say it's nonsense, it's trivial, it's unstructured. Then what? Then what? But somewhere, your language, I'm not going to use, for me, nothing is worthless. But I'm going to use your language. If you feel this is what the garbage thing, you've brought it out. But somewhere in that garbage which you call, there is that line present, or that word present, or that idea present, which was reason for your writing. That idea, the original in your mind, that idea is your asset take that idea out or highlight that idea. That was the reason in your mind. That was actually the question in your mind which was ringing bell. Hey, come on, pen and paper, write something for your reader. That you have, taken out. If it doesn't happen in first attempt, no worries. Try next time. Try next time. Bring that original out. You know why? Look, what happens that if you ask yourself a question, look, I want to write on media thing, and you start reading. I'm not saying don't read. Rather, I'm a fan of, readers and, of course, reading. But what I'm trying to say is, when you start reading, what happens? That original thought, which was in your mind, that will be lost somewhere. On media, when you start, reading A writer, B writer, C writer, X writer, Y writer, Z writer, then what happens? That original thought is lost somewhere. And you will be lost in the readings. Your first responsibility as a good writer is that question, that reason, which was hanging in your mind, which was ringing bell, bring that out on a piece of paper. And that is something which is your direction also. That I am now going to read a lot many authors or writers to do what? To, get information about this original thought which was in your mind. That is what free writing is. Do it every day. Ask your friends also, do it every day. If not every day, 2-3 times a week. This is something wonderful to get kick-started. Now, second method of bringing information from your stock is probing. Now, here I would like to show you, illustrate this point, probing, with the help of some, slides. But keep in mind, probing means you live in your, house, you live in your neighborhood, you live in a community, you live in a city, you live in a country, okay? Now, ask yourself questions. Why, A is different from B, why A is mine, B is yours, why A is blue and B is yellow. I mean, ask questions, many questions about, about that very thing, which you want to write about. Probing thing. Ask yourself questions. Now, I have prepared actually a list for your consideration that, this is how we can ask questions and can find, information about. If you take, a look onto your screen, that what probing stuff actually is. And one more important thing. There are some questions on the screen. Plus, in brackets, I have written the name of that question. Or you can say the direction of that question. Or you can say the purpose of that question. I mean, if you ask, for example, the first is, what does X mean? So if this question in your mind is, and you start writing about, answering this question, what does X mean? It means you're defining it. That is called writing on definitions. That your purpose is that you want to define things. Come back to the screen. What does X mean? This will be definition. Ask yourself a question. What are the various features of X? It will be description. Third, what are the component parts of X? This will be simple analysis. How is X made or done? Process. How should X be made or done? Directional analysis. What is the essential function of X? This is functional analysis. What are the causes of X? Causal analysis. What are the consequences of X? Causal analysis. What are the types of X? Classifications. How is X like or unlike Y? This is comparison. Next question can be, what's the present status of X? Now, this will be comparison. Next one, what is the significance of X? This will be interpretation. And what are the facts about X? This is reportage. How did X happen? You are trying to narrate actually things. And what kind of person is X? Here, the characterization, the profile perhaps, you're interested in. And what is my personal response to X? Now, this is reflection. You read about X and now you are reflecting upon what you read. Or what is my memory of X? This is reminiscence. I mean, your past experiences, with that X. That could be anything. That could be a person, that could be a place, that could be a thing. And what is the value of X? This is evaluation. And what are the essential major points or features of X? This is the summary. And what case can be made for an original X? This is persuasion. Now, did you see that these questions, this is just one possibility actually, but at the same time, these are 20 very, very important probing questions. You have topic in your mind, now start asking questions about. And then, keeping these 20 questions in mind, plus the next in brackets, the purpose which I have written, keeping that in mind, you would be able to at least, go about finding the answers of these questions, and therefrom, your own answers. You can share the same questions, with your friends, for example. That if you want to describe X, for example, so how do you feel that, it should be described? You can ask your friend, put up the same question to your friend and ask him, like, how they feel, how can they describe, if you want to compare X and Y, you compare, ask your friends, ask your brothers and sisters, ask people who live in your neighborhood, put up, the same questions to them and see what they say. Compare, your piece of information and then, reach some conclusions, the primary conclusions. Then, of course, you can dig out further by, reading and, and a lot many other, information sources. So this is how you see that there are different methods of using your own information stock, which is stored actually in your own mind. At this point, I'm not asking you go to library. What I'm asking you is bring the very information or utilize the very information which is very much in your mind first. And then, you can beef it up. You can, get more information, to explain it further. You can get some technical, data further from, different sources, which, of course, I'll discuss with you as external information sources. The third and the last method for internal information source, the first was free writing. That is sort of, an exercise which needs doing it again and again till you perfect it. And the second one, you saw, ask yourself questions about your topic and try to find out answers. Ask your friends questions. Ask your, let's say, siblings questions. Ask, questions to people in your neighborhood, and you collect information. Third one is brainstorming. Now, what is brainstorming? Brainstorming, again, the same thing. Hold a paper and pencil in your hand and let ideas flow down onto that paper. Again, in brainstorming, we do not check relevance of our content. Let's say the word flower you want to collect information about. Flowers. Now what? Have a piece of paper. In the middle of that piece of paper, write the word flower, okay? And, shine out. Prepare a cluster, for example. Let's say the literal, use of definition of flower, the figurative definition of flower. Its social use, its medicinal use, the types of flowers, the botanical types, for example. Then ceremonial use of flowers. So a lot, many things, you are clustering out around that flower. You are not doing one sin. I call it a sin for brainstorming. Look here, what I said about brainstorming. Brainstorming means let your ideas flow from here down onto your paper. This is a continuous process. It should not be stopped by silly questions that the ideas which are coming down are relevant or irrelevant. No, don't ask this question. Let your ideas flow. They may be relevant, they may be irrelevant. You and me are nobody, to, ask these questions. Why? Then the process will stop. Brainstorming will not happen. Now here, I would like to show you, one, or rather two ways, actually, when we brainstorm, then how we control information. One way is listing, and second, I have named the word clustering. Listing means some people, they may feel like numbering ideas. So they move vertically. They write flower, the word at the top of the page, okay? And then the ideas come. So what they do, they keep numbering them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this is how, like, they do. Clustering, opposite to this, is what? You write the word, flower in the middle of your page, and the rays, the sun rays, like, they go out. You prepare then a cluster. So this is how, your brainstorming works. Exactly the way we like in the ritual which we follow for free writing, that don't worry about correction, language correction. Don't worry about, ideas are factual or not factual. Don't worry about sanity or insanity. Forget about, just keep writing for that set out time, 5 minutes. Don't stop before your clock beeps. Exactly the same way in brainstorming. Of course, we don't follow exactly the same way, but in brainstorming, we don't ask ourselves this question that my information is relevant or irrelevant. No. This is a second stage of the brainstorming. Once you've finished storming your brain, then comes the question. Hold up, a color pencil in your hand and encircle those points which are extremely relevant, irrelevant. Then underline those points. First I said encircle those points which are irrelevant to the top, and T, relevant. Then underline those points which are secondarily relevant. I mean, they're not that way relevant, but yes, they do have some relevance. And cut those points which are irrelevant. See, when you have a separate stage to analyze what is relevant and not relevant, then why to do these two different things simultaneously in brainstorming? So please, when you brainstorm, don't ask this question that my information is relevant or not relevant. So this is how, hopefully, information through these three methods will come out. Especially probing thing. This is very, very, very important. Free writing, fine. Brainstorming, fine. Probing thing is very important, actually. Asking yourself questions, asking the people living in that environment those questions. This is something very important. And of course, you can, of course, you will be rather, your approach is sort of, probing is actually what? It makes you more investigative, actually. It makes you more research-oriented, actually. That from the very first step, you are asking, questions and trying to find out answers. You'll be very, very clear about, actually, the topic, the purpose, and for people who are you writing for. So, dear students, today, what we did, actually, today we talked about different writing processes, how people take differently this writing process. Some people say this is inputting, processing, and outputting. Some say or follow planning, organizing, activating, and processing. And some people take it on a very broader level, pre-writing, writing, and rewriting. And the process which we are following is a 6-step process or 6-stage process, which is inventing, collecting, and organizing, and drafting, and then revising and proofreading. And we have studied in inventing stage that three things we do in inventing. Number one, we decide about the purpose, the topic, and the readers. In collecting stage, I told you that there are two sources of information, internal and external source. And we studied today only internal source. Internal source means three things. That, of course, internal source is you. And the methods we studied, are three to well this information out from you. And they were, number one, that you free write, the free writing. Number two, you probe, the probing. And number three, brainstorm, the brainstorming. And this is how you collect information. In my next class, I'll talk about external source of information plus the other, 4 writing steps or stages. And then, we'll complete this important topic. With this, thank you very much. See you next time. Take care of yourself. Bye-bye.